So this lecture will be devoted to the theme of origin of music. And a couple of years ago, in fact 5 years ago, I read a lecture on this theme in the Institute of Ethnology of Academy of Sciences, Russian Federation. And I had to speak in Russian because when I asked which language could I choose, English or Russian, the research members said that they don't understand English. Well, half of them didn't understand English, so I had to read it in Russian. But now my dream is to translate it into English. So I'll just switch it on and translate, well, original music. Two authors facilitate me to lighten this theme. One of them is Joseph Jordania. He's a Georgian from Soviet Republic of Georgia. Iosif Jordania, but since he immigrated and now lives in Australia, now he's Joseph Jordania. And he wrote a book, Who Asked the First Question? This thing, it is in the internet. This is the only book where all folklorist styles are observed from all over the planet except for Antarctica. There are some mistakes, little mistakes. There are some conceptual mistakes, but generally I accept the theory of Jordania. The second man is Victor Grauer, who's got a journal, how we call it in dnevnik, diary, yeah, electronic diary, which is designated as 501 music or something like that. But his name is Victor Grauer, and he is the pupil of the very famous folklorist Alan Lomax, the best folklorist of the United States. Alan Lomax, for instance, he discovered many blues singers such as Lead Belly. Lead Belly was sitting in prison, and Alan Lomax took him out of prison and made him famous. So, now I come to relate the thesis of Joseph Jordania. First, I could even cite from memory. Joseph Jordania writes that evolutionary risks of loud singing are quite high. You cannot be a singing rabbit or a singing hare, because when a singing hare won't live long, because he'll be eaten by a wolf or a fox. So who can vocalize loudly in savanna? You have to be strong, large in size, or you must be a bird which can fly, or to be a monkey, to be able to climb trees very, very rapidly, or to live in the upper tiers of the tropical forest. But now I don't consider such an environment as tropical forest, because our ancestors didn't live in tropical forests. They lived in savanna. And so there were tropical forests in East Africa, and then glaciation came and savanna came. And with savanna, our ancestors who are Australopithecine or Pithecanthropus or something like that, they walked on two legs, and they lived in savanna, and they were face to face with the predators of savanna. Note that lions are roaring. Ooh, they are marking their territory. Wolves in packs, they are also singing. Even whales, they can sing, because the whale is a very big animal, but not anthropoids, not the apes. The apes, such like chimpanzee, gorilla, we are the closest to chimpanzee. They don't sing, and you don't have a single human society which wouldn't sing. Every human tribe, every human nation, every human, civilization, people there sang, including Tierra del Fuego, everywhere. By the way, Wahhabits now in Saudi Arabia, their music is forbidden. Okay, but this is an exception. Okay, and to understand how these people, how these not people, but hominins, how these hominins protected themselves from predators, one might take the example of the baboon group, a group of baboons, say 30 baboons. What do they do when they meet a leopard or a lion? Baboons, they form a circle, and on the perimeter of this circle, baboon hooligans are standing. They are shouting, they are making indecent gestures, they are provocating leopard, and then behind them stay veterans, and inside of this circle stay the females with the young, with the children. I don't know how to call that, with the pups. I don't know how to call the baboon children. Baboon children. Okay, and so this leopard or lion wouldn't attack a group of baboon which is organized in this way, because it's too risky. Baboons have large fangs, and I asked in this Institute of Ethnology, and I'm asking you, if a predator, a lion, is seriously wounded, what will happen to him? I ask you, for instance, Юрий Ершов, если льва ранят в саванне, что с ним произойдет?
Он погибнет.
He will die. Who will kill him? Кто его убьет?
Гиенас.
Hyenas. See, because he saw this film in Russia. Okay, so he knows. Yuri Yershov knows all the answers. So these and the same behavior Jordania proposes was characteristics of our ancestors, hominins. Later I'll tell about what time, what period. Because actually the smallest Australopithecines were still the victims of the predators, as the paleoanthropology shows us that they are partially lived like the most famous of them is Australopithecine Lucy. She lived partly, or creatures like her lived partly on trees, and they were regular victims of these predators, such as leopards, lions, and maybe hyena dogs. And so
Jackals.
no, dogs. They are called dogs. Гиеновые собаки in Russian. Not okay. And Joseph Jordania proposes that homicides form the cycle, and they stamp their feet in unison, like that, and they shout. And what impression makes such behavior on the predator? That a very big animal like elephant is stamping. And of course, they could somehow clear out that this is not an elephant, that these are relatively harmless hominins, and still attack this group. But these hominins had not big fangs, because they didn't have big fangs. They have small fangs, which divides us, distinguishes us from chimpanzees, for instance, or from gorillas. But they had stone tools. They had sharp stone tools, and it was too risky for the predators to attack such animals. So, and thus, a single style emerged, which is called shouting hocket. Again, I won't make an example of this shouting hocket here, because I'll be expelled by police. But I could sing haka, but I may make a blasphemy, because haka shouldn't be sang out of the ritual context. But I'll try to whisper haka. Etc. So this is sort of reminiscent of this shouting hocket, and from this shouting, singing arose. But in the beginning, all the composers, all the famous composers say that in the beginning there was rhythm. I have absolute feeling of rhythm, and I was annoyed that I couldn't, that the drummers couldn't accompany me with, for instance, in rock and rolls. So I learned myself how to play rock and rolls. First, the rhythm. Normally in tribal societies, people possess feeling of rhythm. I'll show you an example, what it is. I make an accent with very regular intervals. Or I may sing, for instance, the song Johnny Be Good, accompanying me with like a drum set. We're down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, back up in the woods and by the Everglades, the student long pivot. And so I have absolute feeling of rhythm. I don't have a good coordination, so I have to work hard to become a good drummer. But it's by the way, it's a very, you can earn money being a drummer. You cannot earn money being a singer, but being a drummer, it's a very, how you call it? They're in demand, they're in big demand, drummers. And so the people who didn't have feeling of rhythm were useless for society. And Jordania proposes that they were expelled from this group and eaten by lions. But I would propose that they were not expelled, but they couldn't get married, because you can get acquainted with a girl which you would like in the discotheque. But in tribal societies, you have a tribal dances, and if a man cannot dance, he would be a bachelor, because in the dance you show your nature, you show your strength. I lived in Hungary, and there the pairs danced in the Tanzhaus until the last pair stood. There was a film like that. All the rest, they are falling or they are getting tired, but the last pair of man and the woman stays and becomes champion. So, and from this shouting hocket arose the two most archaic singing styles, that of Bushmen and that of Pygmies. And this style is called hocket. Hocket is in Old French a hiccup. Hocket. And I'll try to, of course I cannot give you an example. I could give you an example of one voice, but Bushmen and Pygmies sing in choir. Just one voice. But I'll try to find this example. Okay? These are Juhuans. Actually, they are Juhuans. Juhuans.
Say it longer. One more time.
Juhuans. Because they have clicking sound in their language. They live, actually these people live in Namibia, in the region of Erongo. Actually they are playing for the tourists, but their parents sing in that style. And this style is indistinguishable from the pygmy styles, which I want, but you can find a pygmy choir singing. And a specialist could take one for another, because they are have absolutely the same structure. Without no words, I wouldn't. Well, actually, Alan Lomax, by ways of such discipline as cantometrics, he distinguished the formal features of this style, which is called pocket. And this style can be dated, and it is dated by the 70th millennium before present. 70,000 years ago, this style arose. Why? Because these two populations diverged one from another. Bushmen live in South Africa and Pygmies live in Central Africa, and they didn't contact after diverging. But you have two possibilities. Either these two styles originated independently, which is absolutely impossible, because you can take one for another. They are very complicated styles, singing styles, and indistinguishable. So there was a common style for Bushmen and singing, and it existed when these two populations were one, the same, which was 70,000 years ago. And by methods of glottochronology, the human language, which is connected, which is very interdependent with music, but music is older. So the first musical language arose or originated somewhere in the Near East 45 years ago. 45,000 years ago. So music definitely was present 70,000, but language only 45,000 years ago. So could we presuppose that people who could sing this pocket style didn't speak at all? No. Their material culture shows that they have such expressions in culture which presuppose the existence of language. And this was music-language. The theory of music-language was proposed by Stephen Brown, and I also agree with his most thesis.
So they spoke by means of singing?
Yeah. And they probably was 3 consonants, like, because the animals, they pronounce at least 3 consonants. R, the line, r, m, and maybe the third, I forgot which. And they had 5 vowels. Why 5? A, O, U, I, E. Because if you sing without the words, it's very boring to sing with one vowel. For instance, so they have 3 consonants, 5 vowels, and probably 2 tones.
More than enough.
Yes, one of the linguists said that it's quite enough to create a language. But this idea belongs not to me, but to Stephen Brown. But I'll try to give an example of such style. Imagine. Like that. So, and how much I'm telling?
You have still.
Yeah, I have still times. Yeah. So now the question is when this origin of music happened. It was at the time of glaciation. Why? Because when you have glaciers, a lot of evaporation is locked in the glaciers, and in the regions with tendency to desiccation, like semi-droughts, the drought conditions strengthen. So, for instance, in the Eastern Africa, the tropical forests were changed by savannas. And we might suppose that this happened when first tools were invented. And this was around 3 million years ago. But the data on Australopithecines show that they still were the victims of the predators. But such hominids, in Russian it's hominids, in English it's hominids, but such hominids as Homo erectus, who came out of Africa around 1.8 million ago, was big enough and possessed such tools, dangerous for the predators, which could allow him not to be the victims. So well, my tentative hypothesis that this singing style, shouting hocket, arose around 2 million years ago. Actually, this is the bulk of what I was going to tell you today. And we could make a break.
Maybe we should finish that the further history is a degradation.
Degradation of music.
Of music.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's very interesting because there are lots of styles everywhere in the oikomen when people cannot sing in choir. For instance, I lived in Hungary and they have very beautiful singing, but they don't
sing in numbers.
Yeah, they don't have polyphony. They don't have multi-part singing, like Russians, for instance. Russians have such a style, a very strange style. I won't consider its origin, which is called whole tone style. For instance, if we have a musical scale, we have octave, and we have the 5th grade. And Russians sing in this scale, so they sing not like that, which gives us pentatonics, and not like that. That's Celtic style, but Russians sing I'll try to give example. Dava горanice, va горanice, да веселите лице, va горanice, да веселите лице, там сидела Ива, Аня, там сидела, and so on. Yeah, it's a very strange style, but I forgot the idea, which was again. Okay. And yeah, but Hungarians cannot sing like that. They sing Odio favor vonoboba no kadio horayulo kolik mindo nidlabo tebe boba mozadiodo ofoli Tied Vuldom, Tied Lesek, Hola. Very nice.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not a choir. If you have that's the value of the separate melody is very low. This is we have the virtuoso style with lots of embellishments which are called in musicology melisms. And so how this transition from the choir style to a monodic style took place. Victor Grauer proposes that it happened after the eruption of the volcano Toba 74,000 years ago, which erupted in Sumatra, and the whole eastern part of India was covered by ash. And some people, Ambrose, his name, thinks that it was an absolute catastrophe for humanity, but it was not. The humanity survived, but it was decimated in India specifically. And if we consider the Indian folk styles of the tribal Adivasi, of the tribal style of singing in India, there is no multi-part singing there. So I think that in India it started, and then these people from India, they started to move intercontinentally towards America, through the Central Asia, through Siberia, and so in America, in American Indians, you also don't have polyphonic singing, like everybody knows they sing.
So why did they sing Staying Alone?
Well, it's
to get rid of depression?
No. For instance, you may sing for your girl. You may specifically invent a monodic, one-part singing. Actually, there are such styles. But among the Nganasan people, you cannot just propose for a girl without singing. It's impolite. You must compose a song. And the same was with the mountaineers of Vietnam. And they used to go to the market and sing love songs for the girls. And then the Communist Party forbade this type of activity. Instead of, they started to go to the market with the microphone, with the magnetophone, where they were recording love songs. And so actually, and the last piece of information, Victor Grauer thinks that the style, the drone style of multi-part singing, which is attested, which is occurs widely in western Mediterranean region, in such regions as Corsica or Sardinia, I think Sardinia.
Islands.
Yeah, and in one region of Portugal, in the province of Alentejo. By the way, the very famous revolutionary song of Portuguese, the revolutionary of the 70s, Grandula Vila Morena, is a song of that time. Grandula Vila Morena, tandaram, tadandada, and there the choir starts to sing. So Victor Grauer proposes the idea that this style is related to the original Hocket style. I disagree with you, because I think that this style arose together with the origin of agriculture, when the size of the bands or the how we call it, society. God, you know, English is not my mother tongue. Well, the bands of the hunter-gatherers,
the population of the villages became
societies. The tribal societies, they increased 10 times For instance, if you have in the Levant, you have where the agriculture originated. You had hunter-gatherer bands of the 50 people. In the transition to agriculture, you have a tribe of the 500 persons. And if you have 500 persons, then there is a great chance that they invent multi-part singing again. So they, as a hunt-gatherers, we probably sang one-part singing, and with the origin of the agriculture, this style, this multi-part style of singing
Could be reinvented.
Well,
Reinvented. Reinvented.
reinvented. Yes, reinvented. And one of the arguments corroborating this idea is that it's identical, for instance, in Bulgaria and in the Flores Island in Indonesia. There are some ethnomusicological papers which say that this is the Bulgarian style that exists in Flores, and this is the road for the spreading of agriculture from the Levant into Eastern Asia and then into Southeast Asia, where these primarily agricultural societies survived, and the most populous matrilineal people in the world is Minangkabau. These are people who lived in Sumatra, by the way, in the region where the Toba volcano was erupted. I told that this volcano 74,000 years ago was called Toba.
Toba, yeah.
Toba. Now it's the Toba Lake. So I think that this style, the drone polyphony, was reinvented. I think it's enough for the beginning.
No.